Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here, myself Charlie. And before the video starts, please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try to become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Now, Zuffa Boxing announced this week that giant Opetaia will face off against Brandon Glanton for the inaugural Zuffa Boxing Cruiserweight title. What exactly this means? Well, quite simply that Opetaia and Glanton are going to fight for the organisation's first, sanctioned world title fight. Although the first two cards haven't featured anything for those world titles. I say that in inverted commas. So it's a very interesting move from Opetaia for starters. He is, of course, the IBF and lineal champion. He is, I don't know quite the scenario. I think at the moment he maybe still is IBF champion. There was no news on whether he's fighting still for the Zuffa title or the Zuffa and the IBF title. I think it's an interesting one because there's a lot of factors. Let's face it, Dana White came in. We knew he was going to do this. This isn't a shock. We knew that he wanted to create his own belt. He wants to get rid of the sanctioning bodies. We knew all these things going into it. And I think maybe there's a little element of people were going, no, he won't really. And Opetaia won't want to give up. Well, he clearly does because that's the situation that's going on. I think as well, something that is very important to point out is Dana White did come into this saying, I'm only going to have the 8 traditional divisions, and Cruiserweight is not one of those divisions, which is something. But I think he knows realistically that he needs a legitimate champion to be his first ever champion, and Opetaia is that. Universally recognised probably as the best cruiserweight on the planet, unless what you think about David Benavidez coming up. I still think he is one of the best, and actually is someone that could definitely take this organisation into the mainstream of boxing. But there is something to be said, I think, of the quality of opponent. Again, Brandon Glanton, we've seen him over here on undercards. I think he was on the Eubank Ben undercard #1 and fought Chris Smith, lost that fight. You fully expect Opetaia to win this fight and win it quite comfortably. And again, I think it's a point that's been made time and time again, is Opetaia ostracising himself from the main cruiserweight scene? You know, Zerdo's still about. We've also got Noel Mikhailian. Obviously, David Benavidez is coming up. You know, if we could get Benavidez Opetaia, what a fight that would be. But it doesn't look like we are going to get that fight because, let's face it, I don't think any of those guys are going to sign with Zuffa. They're probably all locked into quite nice, cushy, long-term contracts with their promoters and are not going to be able to be allowed to sign for what is essentially a rebel organisation. Again, there's a lot of question marks about what this means for Opetaia's IBF title. I think because it's an unsanctioned bout, he is probably going to have to vacate, which could be Chris Smith gets himself a shot. He is the highest ranked, I think I saw the other day. And actually, the two guys beneath him are pretty hot, I would say, standard opposition that Billam Smith would favour himself to beat. Vidal Riley is at 6 in those rankings. If he could get himself a good win, could we get Riley Billam Smith this summer? That would be a great fight for the British boxing fans. But again, it's something that is really taking my eye. I've really enjoyed watching this Zuffa boxing thing develop because the fights on the undercards have been quality and the fights on the cards have been quality. But it's going to be this issue that I think is maybe going to struggle just for now to get into that next step, is getting those big world title fights going on and those big sort of super fights, I guess, that we're so used to seeing Dana White produce with the UFC. It's going to be a lot harder, I think, to get those in boxing. But we shall have to wait and see as boxing fans. As always, guys, let us know what you think. Do you think this is a good move from Opetaia? We knew he was signing with them anyway. What do we think about how the fight will turn out? I fully expect Opetaia to win it within 6 rounds, to be honest with you. I think he's a very good cruiserweight and I think he's a very good fighter in general. Could we see him go up to heavyweight and then Zuffa boxing? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks around it. But it's a good move because, you know, they needed probably a legitimate champion and people to go, oh yeah, Joe Opetaia's the champion there and he is the best in the world. So it makes sense. I guess it sends the right message. It conveys the right message for the standard of Zuffa boxing. As always, guys, like I said, let us know what you think. Please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Have a great day.